Hey everyone. So I'm gonna start by jumping ahead a bit to talk about the new girl we were introduced to, who just by the color of her hair alone you can tell is related to basically a cow, from the woman from the opening. Now I was avoiding talking about this until she was introduced, but now that she is, I gotta mention it here. The anime is doing something very bizarre, which is that they're basically changing the hair color of pretty much both the cows. Like in the manga, both the younger and older cow have green hair, but in the anime they changed it up to blue. And it's not even like I'm kind of inherently angry about this change, but I am more than a little confused as to the reasons why. It's like I know I shouldn't be focusing on what's essentially a pointless change, but that's also why I'm bringing it up. It feels like such a pointless change that I fail to understand as to why they would change the hair to begin with. The only way I can square it is they either thought the blue would be easier to animate or would be better contrast with the color palette of the anime. I don't know, but those are the only two reasons I've been able to think of as to why they changed the color of the hair from blue to green. I don't know why it is, but yeah, it's if anyone who has better knowledge about this shit can tell me in the comments as to why they changed the hair. I'll happily correct myself later, but it's like, yeah, changing the hair color just feels like a very odd thing to do. But okay, let's talk about a cow herself, because even though we have yet to meet the older cow, you can already tell the difference between the older and the younger one. The older one, just based on images, has much more of the presence of an assassin, whereas the younger one definitely comes across as a more experienced. Although, as weird as it sounds, you'll find that's also kind of the younger one's biggest strength is as things progress from here, especially seeing as how she's already latched on to Taro. Like you can clearly tell with how she's latched on to Taro, it's like what the series is doing here. It's basically saying this woman is clearly related to someone that Taro knows, and wants to build on that relationship, wants to build on who a cow is through basically who a cow was through basically the younger a cow. Now, circling around to the beginning of the episode with Shishiba and Ozaragi overseeing the cleanup of the Kanto branch, one thing that is made abundantly clear throughout that whole scene is that while Uzuki might have lost the battle in a sense, he still basically won the wars. With the destruction of the Kanto branch, confidence in the JA is plummeting. Like Uzuki has basically put them in a crisis situation and as Shishiba put it, stocks are plummeting and people are canceling their orders. No one wants to even hire the JAA. So Uzuki has effectively put them in a crisis situation, meaning the JAA and the Order are gonna start putting all their resources and power towards stopping Uzuki. Now, unfortunately, I think also means they'll likely start treating this like they're going to start militarizing in such a sense that they'll probably start treating outside interference as just as much of a threat as Uzuki. So unfortunately, this is kind of, I think, foreshadowing that I think Taro and Shin are going to need to be careful in the future, or they might start getting caught in the crossfire of the JA's pursuit of Uzuki. Or it feels like that's something that is being foreshadowed with this opening bit of the episode. And outside of a cow, though, the episode also introduces us to an eclectic group of characters. The standouts being an absolute failure, pretty much known as J. Irk, which, I recognize the pun immediately, or as I've called him in my manga reviews, Headband Boy or Headband Guy, which I can tell you, just in the few chapters I've read beyond this point, J. Irk has only grown less endearing with where I'm at in the manga. Like, if this guy is like if it's one of those things where if this guy's gonna have his redeeming moment, it better be within the next couple chapters I review. Otherwise, I'm writing his ass off as just the annoying try-hard attempt at comic relief in this arc. Like that, like unfortunately, I just don't like this guy. Like I guess we're not supposed to like him considering his name is play on jerk, but still, it's like if that's all this guy's gonna be, like the comedic relief jerky ass character, then yeah, he can go fuck himself. I'm sorry. The other one though is more interesting to talk about, as the other one is Mafuyu Seba, and yes, that is the same Seba, and the fact that Shin was the one to face up against him is not only the weirdest twist of fate imaginable, but it's one of those moments in the series that truly shows more than anything that Suzuki is really interested in the varied relationships among the characters and how he can play and how each character can continue to play off each other. And just kind of play around with those relationships in general. But for now, the fact that Mafuyu is here means his brother is very likely to make an appearance in the future. Maybe not in this arc, but likely in the next. Because that's the thing with this arc we're in now is the first of a two-part arc. Getting back is the part of a two-part arc. It's the JCC like exam arc and then the JCC infiltration arc. So yeah, it's split up into two. So it's that damn big. Getting back to Mafuyu, though, yeah, Mafuyu is kind of an interesting character in this sense. He's an example of youthful experience, as his assassination skills are legitimate, but his personality and emotional tics definitely expose his age the most. Like the man, like being this kind of germaphobe guy who's like also like, yeah, this is such a pain. I didn't want to do it, but I kind of got roped into it, kind of thing. Like he's kind of got that attitude of like. Yeah, like, yeah, you can tell what kind of character he is. Although the interesting part will be how his character plays off Shin. I think beyond this point, yet credit where it's due. His choice and weapon of being retractable swords from his boots are the most bonkers, batshit weapon you'd only find in a series like this, and I kind of love it. I guess the only final thing to talk about or mention about this episode is that and it's something I failed to mention throughout the entire review, but I really like how the entire setting for the first test of the JCC exam was on the plane. Like, I know it's the most obvious setup imaginable, but in execution it does feel very, like, this is kind of one of those setups of like a test where it feels very old school, just with a little bit of a twist to make it unique. Like this whole test felt like Suzuki's own take on the Chunin exam or some other classic shonen like tournament or test arc scenario like we've seen before, but again with its own little twist with the fact that they're all assassins. And honestly, holding a test in an airplane sounds so bizarre in concept, but is executed so well in my opinion. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, be sure to click the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight, have a nice sunny off. Later, everyone.